Oh, man. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode. We have Stephen on today.
Hi.
And we're going to talk about what's going on at James River Church's Stronger Men's Conference 2020.
Stronger men.
Yeah. And you're probably, if you're a Catholic, which is most of our audience, you're like, what are you talking about? I don't know any of these people. I don't know what you're saying. But we're gonna kind of recap the whole thing for you. We both were Protestant at one point, so that's why we sort of want to have this conversation. But apparently some stuff went down. I have thoughts. You have thoughts.
Yes.
And we're gonna talk about it. We'll do a recap maybe to begin. But you heard about this from
I was watching Matt Walsh.
So I'm sure people have heard about this by now.
Yeah.
I haven't really seen a lot of Catholic responses though. It's
No.
not really our ball game, I guess, for
it's
the
really
most
not.
part. So it's going to be interesting. But I actually went to a Mars Hill church, which was Mark Driscoll's older church. So I have thoughts on this based on that experience, and then there's just things that you and I have talked about that are pertinent to this. I want to show you guys this website first, which now is updated for the 2025 Stronger Men's Conference. Okay, so
Because if you didn't become stronger last year,
you got to come back
next
again
year
for your $125 ticket.
or this year. Yeah.
So next year,
$125.
yeah, it's in this church called James River Church, which here's their website. So this is John Lindell's church. This is a charismatic church. So I guess if that means nothing to you, it's essentially Pentecostal light, I would say, like Pentecostal light. He and his wife are the pastors of this church. This is their Stronger Men's Conference. And so
website.
they have a trailer. I'm not going to watch that. You guys can go check it out if you want to see this. And I'm also going to have some video links in the description with some of the stuff that went down. So these are the speakers for next year. But look, they have special guests. So they have MLB stars, NFL quarterbacks, UFC Hall of Famers coming. They have a giant rock concert stage going on here. There's a tank in this photo. I think they actually had tanks this year.
No, it was last year.
Was it last year? Okay.
Yeah.
They've got some bull riding, BMXing, all sorts of stuff going on. This is the first night of the conference is Friday night entertainment. So this is what they're doing, right? And then there's the conference itself. So they're not gonna have a schedule for next year's yet. Oh my gosh, they already have a schedule.
Oh.
I figured there'd be nothing here. Pre-conference activities, Friday night entertainment after the opening session. Then they have sessions the next day. There's an online experience, of course, that they're charging for as well. So, I mean, I would imagine, like, when I hear Stronger Men Conference, okay, maybe I'll ask you, Stephen. When you hear Stronger Men Conference, what do you think this is going to be about?
Not God.
Well, but like if you thought it was at a church and you heard, we're going to do a Stronger Men's Conference,
okay,
you would think it would be, right?
Sorry. With church into it. You would think it'd be like how to be a better man and like how to be a better father, a better son, a better like how to follow Christ better.
Right. I didn't see anything about that in this.
I mean, we weren't
website.
there.
Well, I'm talking about just the website.
Oh, the website,
right? Like,
yeah.
I see a lot about entertainment and special guests, and then it says there are sessions.
I mean, men do ride bulls. I don't ride bulls, but I'm not a man.
Yeah, yeah.
Not a strong man.
They have it in a giant arena, so I guess it's good to know, or at least next year's will be in a giant arena. I don't think it was in their church this year, so I don't.
No, it wasn't. I don't think this one was in a church.
Yeah, it was in an arena, but sometimes you can't tell with these churches. Like,
that's kind of true. The
it
churches
could be
are
an arena.
arenas.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I mean, even just looking, if you're just looking at this stuff this is their Instagram, like this is the screenshots. I mean, look at that, bro. Monster trucks. There's John Lindell. That is the big arena, yeah.
Yeah, worship songs.
Boxing.
They had boxing one year. I don't know if that was this year, last year, or the year before.
This was 2024.
That was this year.
That was this year. They had boxing.
Okay, they had boxing.
Harrison Butker, who's a Catholic. Is that how you say his last name? I don't know.
Is he really a Catholic?
Yeah, he is. And he went, which no comment, I guess.
No comment.
But anyways, Yeah, so it's hard to tell from any of this. Like, there was one Instagram post that said King Jesus. Okay, it's a Christian men's conference. They have all these pastors speaking and all of these, big ticket ex-athletes or current athletes coming to hang out, I guess. And they have bull riding. They've got concerts going on, which I'm guessing would be mostly praise music. This is what the conference essentially was. I didn't really, and I'll be honest, I didn't go and watch any of the sessions or anything before making this.
No,
so just to be
we are
fully
judging
clear,
this based off one.
we're judging
thing
the book by
that
its cover.
happened.
Yeah. So at this point, you're probably like, "What happened? Why are we talking about this?" So essentially, in one of the speaking sessions, because these pastors speak, I would guess about God again. I want to just lay the foundation that none of what it's about is clear from the website, at least for next year. Mark Driscoll,
being stronger men. Drew.
yeah, which. We'll talk about what that actually means, I guess. But Mark Driscoll was one of the speakers this year. And if you don't know Mark Driscoll, he's sort of a mega church pastor, had a church back in the day called Mars Hill that sort of fell apart. There's a whole podcast about this. I went to Mars Hill in Phoenix for a while, one of the satellite campuses, and I left shortly before it fell apart. So there's kind of some history there. And I wasn't super plugged into the juice of what was going on there, but I definitely saw some weird stuff. This guy's church kind of blew up because of some character flaws, you might say. And that's probably where I'll leave it for now. Had a brief hiatus, moved down to Phoenix, started a new church, totally unrelated, and is sort of back on the evangelical speaking circuit. He's known for yelling a lot and being pretty harsh and I guess you could say macho. That's sort of his brand.
Because when God stops you from preaching, you figure out how to do it again.
Don't let anything stop you.
Don't let anything stop you, especially God.
I want to be, well, I don't know.
Sorry,
apparently we don't.
You invited me of all the people.
I was like, I want to be sensitive, but honestly, I don't know, man. There's a lot of weird stuff going on there, to say it nicely, I guess. Anyways, Mark Driscoll's invited to speak. That's not the weird part.
No.
The weird part is that at the Friday night entertainment, I guess, they have where they had the bull riding and the BMX and the boxing, whatever was going on there. There was a stage. And that's not that weird. But on the stage was a pole. Okay, support maybe for the ceiling, Steven? There was a guy dancing on the stage and kind of using the pole to ascend and swallowing swords while he did that, and also ripping his shirt off while all of that was going on. So stage, colored lights, guy with a cool vest ripping his shirt off, swallowing a very long pointy sword, and ascending a pole. By the way, this guy at one point was a male performer, wasn't he?
It was a real pole. He wasn't just ascending any pole, it was a real pole. I just wanted to make sure we got this.
Wrong channel. He used to be a male performer.
Can't judge him for that.
If you catch my drift.
I'm not judging him for that.
Was hired to be entertainment for this Christian's Men Conference.
That's what I'm judging.
Yeah. I was going to say that it's not the dude's fault. He was just paid. Because he doesn't strip anymore.
No.
He does acrobatics, and apparently this is that.
Well, it depends on what your definition of stripping is, because taking off a piece of clothing is technically stripping.
Yeah. It's
now,
weird.
He's not gyrating his junk for women anymore, but he's still taking his shirt off for men.
It was weird. It's weird.
It's weird.
It's weird. Okay, so luckily we weren't the only ones in the world thinking this was weird.
No, it was weird.
It was weird.
It wouldn't have been as weird if it was a woman. I'm just gonna say that. I know it's bad too, but it wouldn't have been as bad.
Yeah. I might have to edit this episode.
No, just let it be. Just let it be.
If I get demonetized, it's
this is why you said I could say things. It was weird.
It's very strange. I was uncomfortable with the video as soon as I saw it. So yeah, to your point, it's a weird event to have that type of, I guess, entertainment, acrobatic entertainment at. But Mark Driscoll thought this was weird too.
And not just Mark Driscoll. I think even people in the audience thought it was weird.
And everyone's red lights on your dashboard.
Yeah, because of the response of what we are going to talk about.
Yeah, and I'm not showing it on this
No.
channel. If you guys want to find it, you probably don't have to go very far to find it. But Mark Driscoll gets up on stage the next day. And
I thought it was right after.
Maybe it is right after.
No, I think it's
Is it
right after. He came on right after
Okay.
this happened, and then he spoke.
Yeah, and he's speaking.
And I agreed with what he said.
Basically, just to recap what he said is he said basically he's been praying for them. I think it was the next day because he said, I've been praying for you all night. I've been up since 1 a.m. praying for you. I don't know the schedule. Doesn't even matter. But he said, I've been up all night praying for you. My voice is hoarse. And he basically said, like, for us to be stronger men, we need to get rid of the Jezebel spirit. But the Jezebel spirit is already here with the Ashtoreth pole and the strip dancing and, you know, the guy ascending the Ashtoreth pole. And he says, our God doesn't ascend, he descends, you know, and then people start clapping.
I didn't understand that.
The Ashtoreth pole part of the ascending?
The ascending.
I think it was just saying it seemed prideful.
Because I was like, God ascended to heaven.
Yeah, but he descends first, like from heaven to earth, instead of having to climb a mountain.
Okay.
So he's trying to say that this event is prideful and it's boisterous.
Oh, is it? No way.
Well, we'll talk about that. But anyways, he's saying all of that, and as he kind of gets to that point, John Lindell, the head pastor of the church putting on this event, says, You're done, starts yelling at him, and then Mark basically is like, okay, Pastor John, I receive that, shuts his Bible, walks off stage, and people start booing, not Pastor Mark Driscoll,
but the other guy,
but the guy yelling at him. So that was the first thing I saw.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw this like pretty much when it happened. It felt like it kind of, you know, blew up and everyone was like, whoa. The thing that wasn't as popular to show was the following event where Mark leaves and John Lindell gets on stage and says some stuff, and he said some weird stuff, like basically like Matthew 18, like you gotta church discipline, you gotta say it to your brother privately first, you know, there's an order to this, trying to cover his own skin because everyone's booing at him, and it obviously looks awful.
I don't even think Paul would agree with that.
It's just the whole thing is stupid. But to finish the recap, I just want to finish the recap.
Then I'll say.
Then you can say, yeah, he. Then later on, after John tries to cover his own skin, they have another event where now there's a table, right? Let's all chill out. There's a table. We'll just settle down. And they are sitting down at this table, and they have microphones. And Mark apologizes for what he said, and then says, "I should have asked John first if we want to talk about this." And then, you know, John tries to cover for Mark, saying, don't criticize anyone, like you shouldn't lay a hand on the Lord's anointed and his spiritual authority, You're looking at the John the Baptist of our age. So they're just like kissing and making up on stage, essentially.
This is weird as
well. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. So that
goes with the flow of this conference.
Yeah, it's all just kind of strange.
Yeah,
and I have many thoughts about all of it. What were you going to say?
Well, I was just going to say Matthew 18, I don't feel like applies. Because isn't Matthew 18 when someone wrongs you, you go to them first?
Yeah, and I think he was trying to say that, like, if you had a problem with what I did, you should have come to me first.
Yeah, but that wasn't the problem. The problem was, I'm sorry, I feel like Paul calls out Peter in front of everybody. Does he not?
In front of, leadership.
Well, in front of Jews that he decides not to sit with. I'm just saying, when you see something bad, I don't think you necessarily have to go, well, let me... No.
Right. Well, this is what the whole discussion is about online, is whether Mark was right or wrong. And most people are siding with him, it seems like.
If you're a stronger man, you should be calling out the injustices that you see as you see them. And what Mark Driscoll did at first was being a man and calling out the things that were bad.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that's
to be a stronger man.
That's most people's take online, which that's not even, I think, the problem with
it's the backtracking. Well, no, what you're gonna say is the problem is the conference in itself.
Right. That's where I was.
That's where we were gonna go. But I was just it's just so bizarre to have someone actually call it out, and then it's almost like he got forced into backtracking.
Well, yeah. So, I mean,
because the next day you just go, I'm sorry for doing that. That's a strong man right there.
like basically what happens is immediately becomes in the evangelical world like the hot button thing on X, formerly known as Twitter, and on YouTube, and then apparently Matt Walsh is talking about it.
Yeah, he did not like it either.
Yeah,
but he's also Catholic, so he had a lot of other problems with it too.
Yeah, I was gonna say the thing that this is the thing. Everyone's arguing about what you just talked about.
But now let's talk about
whether Mark was right or wrong. Was Mark right or wrong? Whatever. There are deeper issues going on here that I wanted to talk about, and that's kind of what I want to talk about. Is everyone's like, okay, well, Pastor Mark called out something that was obviously gross, and then backtracked it. So that says that says some things, whatever.
This never should have happened in the first place.
Yep, pretty much. Essentially, my question is, what is this event actually for?
Yeah.
I mean, I showed the website at the beginning of this. I didn't see anything on there about what the topics were. And maybe, okay, you could say that's next year's website, Drew. They don't have that figured out
last
yet.
year.
Sure.
Sword swallowing.
Yeah, but they have no content that on the website makes it very apparent that this is a Christian men's conference. No. There's the names of the speakers, and then there's all of these things. Let me pull it up again. Let me go back here.
Chills.
They have these photos of the stuff you'll see, right?
Tanks
and famous football players and the rock concert worship with smoke machines, bull riding, BMXing. Is this what masculinity is about? I'm not saying like men don't do these things and that they're not masculine. I think they are. But is that it?
Well,
is that it?
That is men.
Is that what men are?
I mean, if we're not in the gladiator pits in the arena, then what are we doing as men?
I think the problem with this is the exact caricature of masculinity that we get pissed because
this is the
whole
toxic
toxic masculinity. They critique just this caricature of masculinity,
and it's not even what sucks is it's not even toxic. But what we've done is like steered into it and actually made it toxic, and it's a conference for God. Like somewhere intertwined into it.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe.
I guess what I'm trying to point out is if we realize there's a problem with masculinity, which anyone who's paying attention does. Mm-hmm. You know, this is Jordan Peterson's entire claim to fame because everyone that's a man is like, okay, there's something I'm supposed to become. There's something within me that wants to become a man, whatever that is, and I haven't been handed it. I haven't been taught it. It has not been passed down. That's like very common. And if you don't think it is, maybe ask a young man, and you'll pretty quickly find out. That's the aroma of young men today, is feeling as though there was a tradition or a way that was robbed from us and not handed to us either by our forefathers or their forefathers. So there is a crisis in masculinity. But is what's going to solve it bull riding events? I live stream bull riding. I get paid to do that sometimes. So I'm not saying, oh, don't ride bulls. That's stupid. But if we're trying to fix the problem of what men need, is what's going to fix it having explosions and monster trucks and tanks
in America?
And yeah, there's like American flags everywhere.
Like, we have to talk about that.
Sure,
we will, because
okay.
Well, you were on a point, but sorry, but we have to talk about. It's just like, so last year's event had a tank. And they had American flags and lights and pyrotechnics and this
pyrotechnics. Yeah,
there we go. And the tank was driving over cars while they were playing. What's that song from?
Some
Top Gun. It's the Top Gun. Highway to the Danger Zone.
Highway to the Danger Zone.
And he's doing, and everyone's just cheering, and I'm like, that would be cool elsewhere.
That'd be cool at the county fair.
At the county fair, but not at a men's conference where we're supposed to. I'm sorry. The whole men's conference is about. It's supposed to be about God and being stronger men, and yet all it is America and tanks and fire and pyrotechnics. Well, this is
the thing. The problem that this conference has, and I'm just gonna say it boldly because I think it's readily apparent from the outside. And you could say, "Oh, you weren't there. You don't have the context." Sure, maybe I'd be happy to be corrected. It's apparent that the people putting on the conference themselves don't have a clear and healthy picture of what authentic biblical masculinity is, because all we can do is portray this facade of masculinity behind monster trucks and explosions
That's all
and
we
entertainment that how did we not know that people would have problem with what clearly looks like a stripper pole and a dude taking his shirt off? And then we have the personality clashes. The people that are supposed to be leading us into this promised land of stronger masculinity and following God and being a biblical man themselves are quarreling and bickering and then having some sort of weird public apology session. All of it reeks of insecurity, frankly. If you're a powerful person, you don't walk into a room and boast about how powerful you are.
No.
You don't go into a scenario and boast about how successful you are. You don't call attention to yourself because you're confident enough to know you don't need to. That's real power. That's frankly real masculinity. The most powerful people, truly powerful, not this facade of crappy worldly power, they don't call attention to themselves. They don't need to be the center of attention. They don't need to, frankly, maybe Mark Driscoll's point was correct. I think his point was correct. But do we really need to yell about it on stage for everyone to say, is that really our brand? Should that be your brand? That's what got your entire church destroyed the first time. Literally blew up a multi-state, multi-congregational church and damaged the lives of hundreds of people, if not thousands. There's whole podcasts that talk about this. That firebrand personality of macho masculinity did that. And then now we're doing it again. And then when someone else, some other egos get attacked by that, then we all apologize because it hurts the brand. You know what they realized?
Hurts the brand.
We'll sell less tickets if this is what this conference is known for.
Yep.
We'll sell less books if this is what this conference is known for.
Because it's about money.
Maybe. We don't know for sure if it's about money, but maybe it's about money.
I'm just going to say it.
Steven thinks it's about money.
I think it's about, for them, it's about money because obviously it's not about making men stronger. It's about coaling men into this weird idea of what masculinity is and tricking them to come to this thing and throwing God. I'm sorry. I'm stuck on the God part. These are Christian men. This is supposed to be a Christian conference. And all I see is every Sunday men of, hey, honey, I'm going to go to this conference. What's at it? Oh, monster trucks and boxing and football and dirt bike. And they're like, well, don't you watch that all on Sunday anyways? Well, yeah, but now I got to go do it at church.
Well, I think what they're going to say... I
know you're having a different problem than me.
No, I have the same problem. I just think it goes deeper than that.
Oh,
and I think what the problem is there's this is the problem with evangelicalism as a whole.
Well, no, but that's my point is like, so when I was going to church, we would go to church at 9 so that we could make the football game.
Yeah.
Church came
and they would accommodate the time of the service.
Churches
for the
would accommodate game. Because even the pastors, wanted to go watch the football game. And to me, it's just it's taking the world and bringing it into the church, into God, like making that first. Our priest brought this up the other day. He was talking about the Kansas City Chiefs game. Where there were football fans who during the cold had to get their limbs cut off because of frostbite. They were so dedicated to sports and their team winning. And it's like, okay, we don't have that towards God. Like, we don't have manly men that would die for God. We have manly men that would lose a toe for the Kansas City lose Chiefs. A toe. Yeah. Yeah. And that's where, but all they're doing, sorry, if your point's probably different than mine, but all they're doing is taking the worldly things that the world has made us want and love and build up that are important but actually aren't, and brought it into church.
Right.
And that's what this conference is. And that's why I think it's kind of a money. That's why it's a money grab of we're gonna bring the world in and we're gonna show you that the world is fine because that's what makes you a strong man, instead of literally just focusing on what actually makes men strong.
Right. Well, and I think you're exactly right. And the problem, this is why I wanted to almost like start this out with saying evangelicalism has a sickness, and this is another symptom, or another, I guess you could say, spout of that sickness. And the sickness is it's trying to, and I've talked about this so many times on this channel, when we try to make the gospel relevant to a culture that's entirely predicated upon deconstructing the gospel, you don't gain the culture back, you lose the gospel. So when we have these seeker-sensitive churches that are trying to appeal to people, and I get the whole meet people where they're at, but what that doesn't mean is make things look like the secular environment that they're surrounded by.
Yeah.
Because that's what's killing us. It turned us into passive consumers who would rather observe the world around us, and if it's explosive and has monster trucks, or the QB gets sacked by your favorite linebacker, that's what being a man is. No, it's not. You're watching something on TV.
Living through somebody else's
it's
life.
voyeuristic. Yeah.
That's the word.
I mean, if you're a sports fan, I'm not trying to say all sports is that way, but the intense obsession with sports to the point of where your entire life is wrapped around sports or events like this, it's because it's the same problem with being chronically online or spending all of your time playing video games. You're not doing anything. You're not engaged in your world. You're not contributing to society. You're not building a family or a stronger community. You're not engaged in mission for God or participating in the actual adventure of your life. You're quite literally a spectator to someone else's glory, supposed glory. Mm-hmm. At the end of our life, it doesn't matter. It won't matter if the Kansas City Chiefs won. No. It won't matter if the favorite bull rider of yours won the championship, had the best ride or whatever. It doesn't even matter if he's your cousin. That stuff is entertainment, and its only place is to mildly entertain you when it's an appropriate time to be entertained, so that you can escape from your life for a moment, but then go back to your life. Mm-hmm. And if all that we have in our culture and all that we have for men is a particular niche of entertainment, oh, well, they like Top Gun because there's explosions, and they like bull riding, and they like having quarterbacks at these events because it draws them. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, let's go deeper. Why is that drawing them? Because they want to do that. They mm-hmm. want to live a life that's epic. They want to live a life that's important. Are we really going to just give them more of the same entertainment that creates spectators? Or are we going to awaken within them warriors? And maybe the conference is trying to do that, but it doesn't seem like it. Mm-mm. Everything was flashy entertainment. And then the people putting it on, the supposed guides into a stronger masculinity, themselves are putting on a show. Really? Is that that's all we have?
Yeah.
That's not enough. I think what really saddened me is that we have tons of men's issues. Suicidal. Men are chronically more suicidal than women. We commit suicide the most. Mm-hmm. Worst health. Chronic health issues in men, way higher. Depression, way higher. All of that. Chronic. I mean, it's a true epidemic. And when people talk about this, the path they want to take is Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
They want to be macho. They want to go get in bar fights.
Christianity is weak.
Right.
Therefore, we need to make it more mass.
We need to make it cool. We need to make it sexy.
Jesus
we need to make
it
cool. Explosive. We need to have monster trucks and smoke machines and loud things.
Because Andrew Tate got under the skin of some people.
Yeah, it probably wasn't even him though. It's just
I'm just saying,
just the culture.
No, but that's my point. Is like Christianity comes across as weak and submissive, right. And when it's not,
it's the opposite
of that. It's the exact opposite of it. Right. But instead of like leaning into what Christianity is, we have to bring the world to us.
And like I said earlier, this all reeks of insecurity.
Yeah.
It reeks of insecurity. If you're not secure in your masculinity, you have to flex it. And this whole thing seems like a flex. And what's worse than this is that the whole conversation is about whether Mark Driscoll was right or wrong.
And that's not what should be the actual conversation.
The conversation should be about, is anything that this conference is talking about actually productive to a stronger biblical masculinity? What even is that? Mm-hmm. You know what this conference should have ended with? Maybe it did, and someone prove me wrong. I would love to be wrong about this. Please, Lord. The greatest man in history was Jesus Christ. Fight me about that. The greatest man in history was Jesus Christ. The most masculine man was Jesus Christ. Second in line might be St. Joseph. Okay, St. Joseph, let's talk about him for a second. Do you have any recorded speech of St. Joseph in the Bible, Stephen?
No.
Not a single line. Why is he the Catholic picture of masculinity? Because he was dutiful, he was dedicated, he raised his family, and he bore his cross silently without complaining until his death, which was not that big of a spectacle. There's no account of it. There's no account of really anything that he said.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah. And then you look at Jesus, the first 30 years of his life.
Nothing.
No record of it. There's a couple things in Luke's gospel. No record of it otherwise, of what he did, what his hobbies were.
Yeah.
None of that until you get to his public ministry. And even then, where's the Macho Messiah with the sword cutting down Romans? That's not who he was. Mm-mm. That's not who he came to be, but that's who they wanted him to be. Where's the military leader crushing Caesar under his foot? Didn't show up.
No.
That's why they rejected him. The most important line in regards to this in the Gospels that I've been reflecting on is when Pilate brings Christ in his robe with the crown of thorns before the people and says in the Vulgate, Ecce homo, it's a famous phrase, behold the man. Behold the man. That right there is a guy who's been beaten, who is being accused of a crime he didn't commit, but because of the importance of what he's doing, isn't complaining, isn't calling down legions of angels to slaughter all the people attacking him and claim his place as Lord of Lords. Mm-hmm. He just does what needs to be done. He bears his cross humbly. And he doesn't do it because he's like, yeah, I'll show them and I'm going to fight and I'm going to destroy them. He does it out of love. And I think this is the bigger point. If masculinity is all about flexing raw power, then we should all just be warmongers. We should be savages and Vikings who are just going around raping and killing and destroying. But that's not what masculinity is about, because
it's not.
Power is only useful if it's for love. It's only useful if it's for the sake of love. And then here's a deeper reflection. This is, sorry, I'm like preaching now. The Baptist in me is coming out. You will not last in the fight of your life if you're only fighting against something you're mad at or something you're afraid of. And all of this talk of masculinity in our culture reeks of being afraid of what? The liberals, the left, secularism, whatever. Or being mad at what was taken from us, or the things that the government is doing, or the things that this religious group is doing. Okay, yeah, but give someone a rifle and send them to war because they're angry. They'll be the first one to retreat. Give them a rifle and send them to war because they love their country. They'll be the first one to die happily. You will only remain in the fight for what you love. If your masculinity is not centered around what you love, and you're not willing to patiently bear your cross all the way to the end of your life because of what you love, who you love, you won't make it. If your masculinity is about flexing power and monster trucks and being right and having the attention on you and having book sales and big conferences and making sure that when that guy says that thing, it doesn't attack your ego too much and hurt your reputation online, you're not going to make it. But if your masculinity is centered in such a devoted love for Jesus Christ that nothing else matters, you're going to make it even if you get canceled, or even if you get called out and you were in the wrong, even if you get thrown in prison, even if you get murdered or crucified upside down. None of it will matter because you're fighting for the right thing and fighting for what you love. That's what masculinity is about. This conference isn't about that.
No.
That's my rant, I guess. That's the rant I've been wanting to give, because if it's all just about this power flex, we're going to get trampled.
Yeah.
And we probably should. So.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's stupid.
It's really sad, dude. It's really sad because these guys are wanting to do a good thing. Maybe. But it's just more of the same rah-rah. Loud noises. Mm-hmm. You know? I mean, I just think about in the scriptures when it says your sacrifices and festivals mean nothing to me. They're just a clanging cymbal. Could be what this is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it's just, I don't know. It's just, I don't know.
Much more to be said.
It's stupid. It's not what God's about. Mm-hmm. It's just frustrating. It's like, I don't know. I have such a tough time with the world nowadays. It's like, I have enough of the world in the world. Why do I don't need the world
in church.
Yeah. Or in a conference about God. I don't want the world anymore. Like, the world sucks. The world hates us. So why do we want the world to like us if the world hates us? Like, just let it hate us. That means we're doing something right, so let's do that. Instead of building these false men. Like, or, okay, next conference, if you're going to have boxing, let's just have 1,000 on 1,000. Let's duke it out. Like, I mean, why not? Why not?
I'd pay for the virtual ticket.
Participation
active
is
participation
key to a good conference. So, Mark Driscoll, listen, I'll make you money. 1,000 on 1,000. There we go.
The boxing match?
Boxing match. All of
lightsaber fight, dude.
Ooh, yeah.
That'd be fun.
Hey,
actually.
There's a sword. We could throw that sword in there.
I don't know if
you want to be touched by that.
I don't want that sword around me, dude. I think the other thing, too, it's just like, why are we encouraging men?
Next year, maybe it will be strippers. Like actual women strippers. Because stronger men.
Oh, man.
Men need to
bring back polygamy, right?
Men need to be degenerate and
dumb
and take advantage of women and sprinkle God in there, and that's the conference. That's what I get from it, is just dumb men down, entertain them. We have ADD, flashy things, they attract us. They go ooh, and then we go, and then they sprinkle a little God in there, and then you'll leave and you'll go, man, that conference was really cool. Why was it cool? Oh, because the monster trucks and the gay swords guy and then there was an argument on stage about something. Well, did you learn anything? No. I mean, that's at the end of the day, the reason you're going to want to go back to the conference isn't because of God. It's going to be because, ooh, I get to get away from my spouse for a weekend and go watch manly things. No women were allowed. That's sexist.
Wait, is that true? No women were allowed?
It was a men's conference. You really think there was women there?
If there was women, would that be a bigger scandal, though? Like, there's a woman at the men's conference.
Well, at least he would have been dancing for a woman instead of a bunch of men.
Could have been one of those 2024 women, you know what I mean?
Could have been worse.
And one of those new women.
Yeah.
The
next year is stronger women men?
Yeah. Trans. I can never get it right. Would it be, if you're a man who becomes a chick, are you a trans woman?
I don't know.
Or are you a man who's I don't know, man.
It's confusing. It's just stupid. I don't know. The more Catholic I become, the more when I see stuff like that, I'm like, if I wanted to watch that, I'll go to a monster truck rally. If I want to watch dirt bike, I'll go to a monster truck rally because they do both. Or boxing, I'll go watch boxing.
Just watch the thing for its own sake and then turn it off and live your life.
And I also have my own problems with boxing and UFC that I'm having problem with anyways.
Yeah, sure.
But it's just, go watch that. If you want voyeurism, do it that way. Don't incorporate God into the world. I'm so tired of it. Yeah. Like, it's so hard to talk about because it's like I'm just going to be on repeat over and over because that's what it is. It's just you're downgrading God.
Well, it's bread and circuses.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the whole thing the Roman Empire did to keep people in submission. Bread and circuses.
I wanted to bring up the Catholic thing that we did once with the clown circus.
Clown masses?
Clown
masses? Just more cringe, actually, than what we're talking about now. Yeah.
Yeah, way more cringe.
Yeah.
Not saying we haven't done stupid things, but it just reminded me of that, of we have to incorporate the world to make it look cool. And when someone says, I'm not going to name names, but someone said, we have to show people that Jesus is cool. I'm like,
that sounds to me like we have to accommodate the weakness of culture so that they'll like us. And I mean, like, literally, again, it just screams insecurity, because if you were secure in who Christ is and being a part of his covenant, you wouldn't care what the world thought about you if they thought Jesus was cool or not. Guess what? They didn't the first time. Why would they now? He literally says, the world hates you because it hated me first. Honestly, though, if you want to just talk about superficially macho stuff, that's the most badass thing I've ever heard in my life. They're going to hate you because they hated me first. Welcome to the club. That's way cooler than, hey guys, Jesus is pretty cool, don't you think? Jesus Christ is my song. You know what I'm talking about. It doesn't work, man.
We used to die.
We did.
For this thing.
By the thousands.
Mm-hmm.
By the thousands.
You want to talk about being
without complaining and without fighting back.
Or strong. I'm not saying women didn't die. Women also died. But you want to talk about being strong?
Mm-hmm.
Die for something that goes against everything else.
Yep.
That's following Christ. Like when people say Christians are emasculate and weak and whatever, these ones are.
I would love for someone to look Saint Maximilian Kolbe in the eyes and tell him he's weak and effeminate.
Yeah.
I would love to see that interaction. And here's the thing: he wouldn't be like, "No, bro, you." He would just look at them and say, "I pity you that your definition of what God created men to be is so shallow."
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the sheer force of a man who is willing to receive a lethal injection on behalf of someone else and takes it willingly, lays out his arm willingly without so much as a fuss.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Or someone like Pope John Paul II, St. Pope John Paul II, literally opposes communism and is largely responsible from it fleeing parts of Europe, and upholds Catholic teaching, travels the world. I mean, like, the force of that guy, he's massive. He's a giant, but you don't see. Well, actually, there's some pretty badass photos of him wearing Ray-Bans and stuff, which are pretty awesome. But there's not like this flex of power. I mean, you can name countless examples. St. Francis of Assisi. You wouldn't want to be the one telling that guy that he's sort of a sissy. I mean, he wore like the most uncomfortable hair shirt. And he never got a new one. He just patched it. Mm-hmm. And forsook money, parties, power, and war glory to go be a nobody. And then in being a nobody became like one of the biggest somebodies in church history. And that version of masculinity is not right. I mean, St. Francis is a perfect example. He had the money. He had the bling, the clothes. He was a nobleman. He was rich. He had the war glory. And none of it was comparable to what Jesus Christ had for him. None of it. He gave it all up. It's ridiculous to take the caricature of masculinity that American culture parades around as though it's the real thing, and say that that's biblical masculinity. And even if their excuse is that they're using it to attract people who think that's what masculinity is so they can change their perception, that's not how you do that.
You don't change someone's perspective by shoving down that perspective down their throat.
Right. You don't invite a drug addict to a drug house to change their mind about drugs.
We're gonna pump you full of so many drugs that you're never gonna want to do drugs ever.
You're gonna get so drunk tonight, you're never gonna want to drink again, man. That doesn't work.
No, it usually kills people.
It's a terrible idea. It's a horrendous idea.
Men are broken right now. Mm-hmm. We're beaten. We're the villains of everyone's story. We're evil. We're all of these things, and the thing to fix it is not just diving into the thing that like kind of creates us to be broken and evil.
Right.
And all
and
these
bigger
things.
than that, man, you know who I think of as King David? Not a perfect dude by any means.
No.
He's no picture of moral perfection. And yet God says about him, he's a man after God's own heart. Mm-hmm. And he's revered in the scriptures. He wrote most of the Psalms, established the kingdom. The only reason he didn't get to build the temple is because he did some goofy stuff. Made some mistakes. That's putting it very, very nicely. And yet, God chose him to be king. And he says he chose him because God doesn't look at the outward appearances like King Saul, who is tall, who is handsome, and who people like, and who looks like the kings of the nations. He chose David, who was small and said ruddy in appearance. He was the youngest in his family. He was a shepherd. And, let's be honest, this is a dude who knows how to play the lyre and writes poetry. By all accounts, he was a theater kid. You would have been like, wow, he's kind of a sissy, maybe. And then he's the most epic dude ever. Almost kills King Saul, does kill Goliath, leads Israel to war, and wins, writing epic poetry that we read every Sunday along the way. And the thing God likes about him is that he's got heart. Mm-hmm. And I think we talk about that in sports culture, right? Oh, that guy's got heart. He's connected to the core of life. He loves God, and that's what drives all of at least his good decisions. It's when he starts to act like the kings of the world that he messes up.
Mm-hmm.
So why are we trying to be like Saul? Why are we trying to be like Saul? Why are we trying to be flashy? And why are we trying to draw men into these passive things of just examining and spectating the world around them? We need men like David, who are connected to the core of it, and who are fighting, but not in a stupid way. You know, who care about what's important. Because I mean, at the end of the day, it's not if the Chiefs won.
No.
Like, you might like the Chiefs or whatever.
No.
That's fine. You might be really into sports. I'm personally not. Sorry. So that's anyone that watches sports is probably unsubscribing after this, because all I've said is that it's voyeuristic, sissy stuff. But
I want the Avs and the Nuggets to win.
Yeah, he likes sports, but it's the thing itself isn't the problem. It's when it becomes your life and your expression of masculinity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what do you do instead? You first off take your religion deadly seriously, because it is.
But sorry, no, not gonna go there. I was gonna say, but those people don't believe in religion.
It's not a relationship, not a religion. It's a toxic, one-sided relationship where I can do whatever I want with no accountability. Yeah,
the religion of relationship.
Your religion is deadly serious, because your team might never win the Super Bowl, but you are going to die and face Jesus Christ.
Even if they don't know you or care about you.
Yeah. Isn't it funny? Sports is like the first example of parasocial relationships. Like, it also is designed to redirect all of your discontent with your life into a channel where it doesn't accomplish anything.
Mm-hmm.
People riot when their team loses or wins.
Or win. Win or
and
lose.
It's about nothing.
We're going to burn
of
something down.
The country could be on fire.
Mm-hmm.
The government could be killing people in mass genocide.
But if the Broncos lose,
then we're mad.
That's when I draw the line.
Obviously, I'm being a little bombastic, but it's true. It's true to an extent. Like,
most people don't know what's going on.
We're designed to care about these superficial things so that we don't pay attention to what's important.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they don't want you to be a real man. They don't want you to be invested in your community. They don't want you to be building strong families and having children. Mm-hmm. They don't want you to be plugged into your church and going to mass every Sunday dutifully and raising up saints around you. They don't want you to be mentoring people. You want to know, young men, why no guy has reached out to mentor you? They've been specifically designed not to do so, because then there's no one alert. When the men are asleep, look at the garden. Look at the Garden of Gethsemane. Jesus says, stay awake and pray with me. And they all fall asleep. And they only wake up when it's too late. They're there to arrest Jesus. Mm-hmm. What's his whole warning in the Gospels? Don't be asleep at midnight when the Son of Man comes. Don't forget to put oil in your lamp. When you're not alert, when you're not at the wheel as a man, that's when the big bad wolf comes and attacks your village. Well, guess what? There's wolves rampant in all of our villages, and they've designed us to be attracted to this picture of masculinity that this conference portrayed, that puts you asleep, sedates you, makes you comfortable, makes you care about things that you have nothing to do with, so that they can get away with whatever they want, whoever they are, whether it's the government, whether it's your local city council, whether it's the world at large, whether it's your local parish, your church, if you're evangelical, your pastor maybe. And we're just complacent and asleep. That's effeminacy.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to talk about real effeminacy. That's effeminacy. Being complacent and asleep at the wheel while evil men are getting away with whatever they want to get away with.
Yes.
That's effeminacy.
Yeah. So if you want to be a strong man, get married if that's your vocation, your calling.
Or become a priest if that's your vocation. That's the most badass masculine thing.
Or be celibate and go be a monk.
Yeah, that's even cooler.
But do something. But what I was going to say is, go if you get married, your wife is your life. Like, and then your kids. Like, your focus, like, it's okay now, it's not voyeurism because you're trying to raise your kids, and don't force things on them that they don't want to do that you didn't get to live. But like, your whole life should be raising those kids and taking care of your wife. That's a strong man. Like, sacrificing everything that you have to make sure that they get to live. I mean, that's Jesus. I will sacrifice my life so that you may live. That's a strong man. So if you get married, that is what you need to do. That's what you need to become. Is become someone you're willing to. No, how do you say that? become someone that's willing to die for other people.
Even just a few people.
Even be willing to die for someone you don't know. Like, that's masculinity. That's strength.
And more important than that, because I think most dads, even bad dads, would jump in front of a bullet for their kids. I would hope.
You would hope.
Be willing to live boldly for the edification and protection of the people entrusted.
Well, that's what I don't mean. I don't literally mean
I know you mean die.
I mean, like, you sacrifice everything of your life for them.
Yeah.
I don't mean literally. Well, you could die for them.
And if you're a priest, it's the same thing, but your flock, right?
Yes.
Right. I mean, this is all I could think about. And if he's listening and you've gotten this far, Father Matthew, thanks for being the goat. And sorry. Our priest is the exemplification of this. He is on duty at all times, probably more than he should be, taking care of his flock. And he's praying for them with an intensity I've never seen before. And he's preaching really well right now. But most importantly, he's calling people to wake up. And he's not allowing complacency in his parish. He's not allowing that culture of this is just a social club to continue. He's calling it out. He's confronting it. And he's doing it in a wise and gentle way, so he's not losing anyone in the process, or at least losing as few as he can. That's masculinity. This is a guy who knows that his duty is his parish family. And he sacrifices sleep, time, freedom, sometimes personal peace.
Yeah.
For the sake of his flock.
Well, I mean, like priests in general, like the ones that are in our right, it's like they sacrifice not having family and kids, so that
not having companionship a lot of times.
Being lonely.
Yep.
So that they can grow a spiritual family and like actually be there for these people and help them. And it's like, but they sacrifice something. You have to sacrifice something. At all, like whatever choice you make, there's always something you miss out on, you lose. And like being a priest, that's one of the things. It's, you gave up something, but for something greater. Yeah,
I mean that's just the whole thing, right? That's kind of
a man.
That's being a man.
It's a stronger man.
Literally what St. Paul says is you're called to die for your wife, or in the case of a priest, the church. If you're single, you're called to live more boldly for God because you can devote more time than anyone else can. Like that's literally the call. I mean, because here at the end of it, here's why. Masculinity is not acquiring so much for yourself that nothing is asked of you and no one can take it from you. That is probably the most effeminate thing I could think of, because you don't impact the world in any meaningful way. You're only focused on yourself, which is the definition of insecurity. And you're only focused on that at the expense of other people, which is the opposite. That's childhood. That's childish. And then you're not sacrificing, and you're denying the blatant reality that the only thing guaranteed in life is suffering. I mean, quite frankly, you could win the lottery and be distant from every form of suffering that money can distance you from, and you're still going to die and probably be miserable the whole time. Because the only thing guaranteed in this life is that you will suffer, and that's because of sin. That's because of the place we're in. But what we do with that as men, the way that we offer that as a living sacrifice, that's the definition of our character. That's it, man. Not let's attract them with monster trucks and pastors wearing really nice jean jackets.
Look at my sneakers.
With fancy Warby Parker glasses. Like, dude, I like wearing nice clothes and having cool glasses and stuff. I care a lot less about that than I used to. But I mean, is that it? We're gonna allure them with something at best we know is not great, so that we can teach them something good. How about we just oppose it? And you don't win everybody that way, but that's not what Jesus did. Yeah, he did. He blatantly said things that made people leave when they weren't ready to hear what he had to say. Why are we so interested in keeping everyone around superficially? It's not doing them any favors.
No.
Yeah.
It won't last.
Yeah. They're there because it's convenient and comfortable, right? But nothing about life is that way. Nothing about masculinity, and especially not following Christ is that way. And if it feels that way, then I'm worried about whether or not we're actually following him the way he wants us to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty scary. So that was an intense video. You got any other thoughts?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
It's late. I'm checked out.
Oh yeah, yep. It was pre-recorded, guys, because we knew if we went live, no one would watch. No one might watch anyways. Doesn't matter. I guess the call to action is this: if you're a dude, wake up. Be like not. This is not like, oh, go be a man. Like, learn how to do cool stuff. Be attentive to your life and direct it towards the only thing that matters. That's Jesus Christ. And
yeah, I could care less if you can shoot a gun or.
I like shooting guns, but
but like I don't care if you can shoot a gun or if you can box or if you're at the gym. I don't care. Like, none of that's important. Like, if you're devoted to your life and Jesus, that's all that matters.
Right.
So like, if you're a twig, like I'm not trying to be mean, like, but if you're someone that's like not a big guy, like, I don't care. Like, the thing that's going to make you manly is not all these outward superficial things. It's going to be the way we see you with your family or with your vocation, your devotion to Christ. That's what will be the thing that attracts people to you.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're an evangelical and you're listening, we haven't already pissed you off so bad that you hit thumbs down. Honestly, maybe this is a wake-up call, dude. Like, is this really the best that Christ's authorities on earth have to offer? They spent 20 minutes saying, oh, don't chastise your authority. God's spiritually anointed. I'm going to be real frank here. What anointing do they have? Where's the proof? Well, just because they discerned it and think so? Just because they speak loudly and boldly and sell books, is that their anointing? I would claim that it's not. Well, there's no proof of that. No. It's not scriptural. But there is a church that has all that. It has succession of apostles going all the way back to the beginning. It has real spiritual authority. It's safeguarded the very scriptures that you get your traditions from and more, because some of them were removed by figures since then. That's the Catholic Church. That's the fullness. You want to find the manliest men? Look at our saints. Look at the fruit of the Catholic Church. They don't care about these superficial things. You might say their churches are beautiful. That's because they're about Jesus. St. Francis of Assisi wore a patched, disgusting, stinky robe, but his church is still really beautiful because it's about Jesus. That's where the king sits. The priorities are straight. At the core of the Catholic faith, the priorities are straight. The men in the seat might not always have their priorities straight. That gets corrected eventually, but it doesn't change through the ages. So, I mean, frankly, if you want to press into the fullness of your masculinity, follow Jesus Christ, follow him all the way home to the Catholic Church, and be a devoted, dutiful, mass-attending Catholic who goes every Sunday, who believes what the church teaches, who is humble enough to submit to the spiritual authority of their bishop, and who makes disciples, whether that's your family, whether that's friends in your church, whether that's randos online who somehow think I have a thing worth saying. That's it. That's the path. And learn to suffer, learn to do it well, and that's it. That's the plan. If you like football, cool. Don't idolize it. Maybe turn it off every once in a while. Go touch some grass. Frankly.
And play football.
Yeah, play football. Like, we can go play a pickup game of football in the park. If you want pads, we can buy pads and start tackling each other. They have like adult leagues for this stuff. Wouldn't that be more engaging because it's actually you doing it, you know?
Yeah.
That's why I like the sports I like fishing and climbing and hiking, because it's me,
fishing
right?
It's a sport.
It is a sport. There's a reason that you can be fat and be a fisherman. That's the other reason.
It's like e-games. It's not a sport.
It does take technical skill and prowess, Steven.
Yeah.
Sports. Oh, now the comments are going to be a total wreck. Well, anyways, thanks for listening to us rant about this. You know what? We got to reclaim this. We got to get the men right, because the men will lead the rest of us there. That's how it works. We just offended everyone with that statement. If you think, whatever. Maybe you liked this episode. If you did, share it. If we get canceled for it, please go to drewthecatholic.locals.com so I can keep posting there.
My bad.
And we'll see you guys next time.